And to another edition of New Sports Outlaws podcast. As always, I'm Neil, and this is Dan. And Dan, we have a lot to talk about this week. We had the NFL draft, the NBA playoffs. There's a lot of teams that have already secured their second round ticket to the playoffs. We have the Major League Baseball realm to talk about as well. How are you this week?
Yeah, good. Yeah, the NBA, big week in the NBA. A lot of, like you said, a lot of teams have moved on. Maybe not the Knicks yet, but a lot of teams have moved on right now. A lot of teams are up 3-1 right now. I think the Knicks are the only one that's at a 3-2 right now. I think everyone else is 3-1 or have clinched, I believe. Maybe am I wrong? Am I wrong? Right? Yeah. All right. So yeah, it was a big game yesterday. I'm not sure if you want to start off with that. Like you asked me before this, do you want to be depressed now or later? So I'll let you choose what depression you want to start off with.
All right, so I'll start. I'll start with the Knicks since that's fresh in my mind from last night. And you were saying 3-2. I know the Clippers are down 3-2 to the Nuggets, but that's in the West. All the
Okay.
Eastern teams are done. All the Eastern teams are set. The Pacers know they're playing the Cavs, and now the Celtics wait because the Knicks have not finished off a home playoff series, or a playoff series at home. Sorry, since 1999. For those of you with quick math, 26 years old. I was 26. I was 16 years old the last time the Knicks finished off a playoff series at home. I am now 42. So that's a long time ago. All right. Ancient, if you will. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm very disappointed. I will say I think Brunson's still hurt. I think there's no other explanation to the fact that if he was fully healthy, he would not leave every game for a minute or two hobbling. I think that we're going to find out when the season's over, whether it ends here with the Detroit Pistons, whether it ends with the Celtics, whether it ends in the Eastern Conference Final. It is going to come out, I believe, that Brunson's ankle was more injured than they let on. But that's no excuse. They need to finish these games. I'm sick and tired of going into all these fourth quarters down. Why do I have to play catch up? Why must we put ourselves behind the eight ball and be 10, 12 points behind on a team like Detroit? You want to tell me that's how you play somebody like Boston? Fine. Detroit should not be this much of a problem, and they are posing a problem. We did both say, though, this series was going to be a battle. I did say it in five. I was literally a couple points away there at the end from being correct in my prediction. So let's see what happens. Maybe we'll split the baby. I think you said seven. I said five. Maybe it'll be six. Who knows? Detroit hasn't won a game since when? At home.
Yeah, it's been about 20 years, I guess, during that. It was Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace days that they probably last won a home playoff game, I'm assuming. Um, yeah, there's just something that's just not right with them. And I think we've been saying this all year, I think, with them. Like, it's just, we know they're really good. Obviously, they have a lot of talent. Maybe I guess second or third, maybe or fourth in the NBA. I mean, obviously Cleveland, Boston, maybe OKC, but after them, I mean, they're right there. They're right there with them, and there's just something like if Brunson is hurt, like you're saying, and I don't totally disagree with you, then they need to stop putting Cat in the corner in the fourth quarter, give Cat the ball like they kind of sort of did in game four and let him do his thing. I know he's getting hacked down low. I get it. Little Tobias Harris is hacking the crap out of him. I get that. So it's hard for him to go down low and with Tobias taking swings at him and then Jalen Duren's coming over to kind of pick up the pieces and get a block or a rebound or whatever it is. So if Brunson is hurt, like you're saying, and he had his worst game of the series again last game. I think he was like 4 for 16. I want to say. Um, I think we were waiting for Brunson, or I was definitely waiting for Brunson. I kept texting you while you were cursing me out yesterday. You were basically saying like, oh, I was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Brunson will do his thing. It'll be over. And they kept coming back. It was so weird. I mean, but obviously they didn't prevail. Um, there's just something not fluid about their offense, and I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if I don't know, but their talent, like you said, over is way better than Detroit is, and I think the difference in their score is like 5 points in their total score. I want to say is only like 5 points in the 5 games that they've played, and it just looks like it may be like a war of attrition, and it's just whoever's going to win this series is going to get destroyed by Boston. But obviously, all the pressure is on the Knicks to kind of finish it, because if they don't finish it in Game 6, oh boy, it's going to
Yeah,
be interesting weekend in New York.
and nervous all weekend waiting for Saturday for Game 7. Yeah, and listen, something I'll say in passing as we pass from the Knicks topic is I think I've already soured on Mikal Bridges. I and not because
Because
of
he's
not because of his offense, not because of his offense. I soured on him because they make him out to be this absolute shutdown, one-on-one defender. And listen, is he better than a crappy defender? Sure, he is. But I mean, he's not. He's not OG. OG plays real
no.
defense against the elite scorers. But in my mind, I thought, oh, great, OG can shut down Tatum. Mikal Bridges could shut down Brown. Then it could be a 3-on-3 game. But that's just not how Bridges operates. And listen, do I think those picks were going to be much anyway? No, I still don't think those picks were going to be much. I don't. Oh my God, that was the worst trade ever. No, it wasn't. But I'm just disappointed in what Bridges has brought.
I mean, considering that when you heard this year when Luka Doncic only went for, was it one first round pick and Anthony Davis, and then Mikal Bridges is going for 6 picks or
Yeah,
5 in a swap or whatever it is. Got
you're never allowed to compare the Bridges trade or any other trade ever against the Luca trade. That GM should be tested for drugs. Stop. If he had called that around, he would have gotten 5 to 7 picks for Luca and All Stars. He's an idiot. There's no way on earth I would get better trade in NBA 2K than that guy got for Luca. Stop. Come on.
well. I mean, you may know maybe Giannis is going to be on the block this year. You never know. Someone Giannis is going to be on the block, and you have all these picks that you went all in on Mikal Bridges. Listen, with Mikal Bridges, I mean, I told you this, but I think obviously coming from me, it's more like me being a hater, and I get that because of Bridges going. But Bridges, for some reason, I would want to see. I didn't watch this at all. How in Phoenix he got first team All NBA defense. When you get first team All NBA defense, that means you are a lockdown defender, and like you can basically put him on anybody, and he would at least slow them down. I know right now, obviously, I thought that too. Coming to the Nets, I was like, all right, 3-and-D guy. He is a first team All NBA. That's saying a lot when you have a lot of dirty players out there like the Dylan Brooks of the world, the Jalen Browns of the world, the OG Ananobis of the world, a lot of Kawhi Leonards of the world, the first team All NBA defenders. Those are lockdown defenders, and Mikal Bridges is just not that. And it doesn't help that he can't hit threes, that he's just shooting dreadful from three. So it's okay. It may be okay if you can't defend Jalen Brown or whoever it is, but it doesn't help when you're going 2 of 10, 3 of 11. He's hit some big shots, sure, but overall he's missed a lot of wide open looks.
Yeah, point to say the least. Dan, let's put football to the back burner. Let's talk about baseball. The,
Baseball.
Yan- the Yankees are playing right now. Last check, they're losing 5-3.
So they scored a run. Judge another RBI.
Nice.
5-4.
Yan-
Yankees.
yesterday set Major League Baseball history, being the first team to ever in a season open the game up with three straight homers more than once in a season. And they did it yesterday, smacking around the Orioles, and they're playing right now in the rubber game against the Orioles. But it'd be pretty typical Yankee fashion to let the Orioles feel like they can come back alive again because they've been buried already this season. And to lose the series to them would be disappointing to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Yankees, I feel like they're just being a little. They're kind of. I know it's only April. They're a little in a malaise. They're kind of just going through. I'm not saying they're not trying. Obviously, I mean, Judge is batting 420. He's having historic season. We keep saying historic every year for this guy. One time it's 56 home runs. Now he has I think 10 home runs and he is batting 420 in April. It's insane. So May 1st is tomorrow. It's going to be 423 or whatever he's at right now. They're kind of looks like they're going through the motions a little bit. Devin Williams has had his blow ups. He had his maybe two really blow ups that cost us games. Um, Carlos Rodon had his couple of rough pitches that he had that kind of cost them some games. I think we're 18-11 right now. We're doing okay. We're doing fine. We're first. We're first in the division. I know it doesn't. I mean, I watch them and they don't. They look good. They're okay. Maybe I guess we're just taking advantage of the poorest American League. That is, we're kind of taking advantage of that a little bit. It would be good to at least kind of take a series against Baltimore. Um, but yeah, we're kind of going through the motions a little bit. Kind of waiting for our pitching to kind of get healthy at this point with Clark Schmidt, who looks like he still needs a couple starts to get back a little bit. Luis Heel has started throwing. So I guess in a month or so, I'm assuming something like that around June-ish. Um, Freed has been great. Rodon actually has been really good. If you look at the numbers, I know he has had an ERAs maybe a little inflated, but I think he leads MLB like in strikeouts, in opposing batting average, I want to say as well. So he's actually been a pretty good bright spot for the Yankees with Freed and Rodon. Weaver's been shutting it down. I don't think Weaver's given up a run all year yet. So he's holding it down. Devin Williams is no longer the closer. He's actually in right now in the bottom of the seventh inning. Um, so yeah, we're going through the motions. We look good. We're all right. I have no worries about us right now. Obviously, I would want Volpe and all that. Volpe, Wells, start getting some hits, get their average up. Bellinger, especially. But yeah, we're just kind of going through the motions right now. We look all right.
So it's a long season, but in my research and prep for our podcast tonight, I had three notes, and you mentioned all three players, and they're just talking points that I've heard on the radio in the last week. Volpe is a time for a benching or possible send to the minors to fix his swing. Is Rondon really good again after I claimed he was good, called him shit again, and then went back to saying he was good again? And then I have Williams' demotion. Is it for good? So you mentioned pretty much all three of those topics in your Yankees explanation. I don't know. And listen, if they were to tell me Anthony's agreed to go to the minors, he wants to work on his swing for a little. If you had a different answer, I'd be okay with it. Even if you said, "Oh, we're gonna let Peraza play short for a week," or him and Oswaldo can rotate while Volpe fixes himself. Whatever. I mean, the kid can't bat 200 the rest of his life. He's got to either hit or he's got to make way because there's more kids in the minors that can play shortstop on their way, and they will take that spot from him.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I want to know what. I mean, again, I didn't watch too much spring training, but I want to know what Pablo Reyes is still doing, having any part of our lineup. I know he supposedly had a really good spring. Whatever. I don't know why Oswald Peraza is not starting at second base. I would want to know that, especially with Jazz getting an MRI. We don't know what's going to go on with him. I, um, go ahead, go.
You know who's on his way, who's tearing up the minor leagues in his rehab assignment.
Yeah, I know that's gonna be great. I'm sure Oswaldo's having nightmares about this guy. Yeah, DJ LeMahieu. Um, yeah, he apparently he's looked good in a couple minor league starts, and you know he's gonna get an opportunity. So poor Oswaldo. I'm not saying Oswaldo's tearing the league taking the league by storm, but DJ's going to get the start, and I hope he's good. I want him to be good. We need somebody else. But right now, Dominguez hasn't really looked as advertised yet. 230, not great. I want to see Peraza. I know he had a struggle that one time. He had like a couple starts in the majors. I think Peraza needs his at least give him some time. It doesn't look like he's going to get it. Seems like Pablo Reyes has overtaken him. So I think probably I would say by the trade deadline, I think Peraza would probably be out of here unless there's some major injury to Volpe, like you said. But yeah.
Hey, listen, you coached baseball for a time. I'm in my third year now. It's almost the same type of concept I venture to guess where it's like, I got this kid. He's not good enough to start on varsity, and he's young. I'd rather him play JV and play every day than come up and sit bench for varsity and barely get one start every 5 days. So I mean, I guess that's the thought behind Pablo there. That you know what I mean. He's marginal. Put him on the bench. I'll start him once every 7 games. Whereas if you do that with Peraza, now Peraza is not playing, is not keeping his back going, and I think they have higher hopes for Peraza than playing 1 game every 7 games.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's time. He's kind of, it seems like ever since Volpe kind of beat him out, I guess this is Volpe's third year now, right? Really? So 3 years back when it was the big competition between Volpe and Peraza, and Volpe really kind of crushed him and destroyed him during that spring training. It seems like Peraza has just been kind of in quadruple A, I guess, for lack of a better term, where is he a minor league guy and not good enough for the majors? But I wouldn't be surprised if he was on his way out by end of July.
The way of Esteban Florial, the quadruple A player.
We held
Yankee
on to him forever. Jesus.
specialize on that. In that. Yes. So let's go to our crosstown buddies over there. Buddy O Chum, the New York Mets. Hey, listen, or you say what I know you're going to say. And if you don't say it, I have the note here. So I'll say it after you respond. Alonso looks really good. And that is the Juan Soto effect. If nobody can convince me otherwise, the fact that Juan Soto is hitting in front of him is giving Alonso better pitchers to see because they're being more selective with Soto in front of him. The pitching staff still looks good. I'm still skeptical. Get me to June and tell me the Mets are still in first, and then I'll start to believe a little more in this pitching staff. And I want to hear your response. I want to see if you mentioned what I have the rest for the Mets.
Um, yeah, I mean, the only thing you could say about the Mets that's negative is really Juan Soto. He's really the only. I mean, obviously we have guys that are batting. I'm just looking at their averages now. You have Starling Marte batting 170. I mean, but Soto, I mean, you can obviously look at it a couple different ways. You can look at it as, all right, he's only batting 240, and they have the best record in the majors right now. So you can look at it a couple different, or that, and maybe when Pete kind of comes down to earth, or Lindor's 311, he may stay where he is. You would think Soto's going to eventually come out of it, and he probably will. It's only April. I have no doubt that he's still looking for his first home run at Citi Field. The Mets have only lost 1 game at home so far this year. I believe they're 13-1. I want to say. Not sure if we're thinking the same thing. I'm not even sure what you want to say. Yeah, no, the Griffin Canning. Every time he's a bum, he's thrown 5 good innings that he went yesterday. Every David Peterson just keeps going along, mowing them down, and they're up 1-0 right now, and they played with an opener. Just got to give them their flowers at this point. They're looking good. Got the Yankees in 2 weeks. Looking for hopefully Clay Holmes can get a nice start versus the Yankees. But I don't know
Uh,
what to say. I'm missing it.
no, what I would say was, well, first of all, from what you were saying, is it's that pitching lab, Dan. The pitching lab fixes all these players. No, but what I was going to say was it's been circulating throughout social media is that the Mets are the first team to reach 20 games of facing teams under 500. So I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
players on your schedule, you can't make an excuse for it. I'm just saying they're the best team right now in baseball, and their pitching looks good, but they have played 20 of their games, again, they have 21 wins against teams under 500.
Yeah, no, I usually argue. I have people at my school that are Met fans, and they're all on that. All I do is just bring up. So is Clay Holmes going to pitch to anyone else besides the Marlins and the Nationals? Is he going to pitch against anyone else this year? Because it seems like that. They're. I think the Diamondbacks are probably one of the best teams they've played this year, and they're 15-14 right now. So, I mean, yeah, they've played a lot of bad teams so far. Again, we know it's a long, long season. But I think where it's all going to kind of come to a head where it looks like two really good New York teams are going to be playing at the same time in about 2 weeks' time. I believe they played in 2 weeks. Kind of looking forward to it, especially with Soto coming back to the Bronx.
Yeah, that should be fun. I have one random baseball question for you. Yay or nay? Do the Rockies have a chance to set the all-time loss record? I believe right now they're 4-24. And in 1899, the Cleveland Spiders went 20-134, but that's not the 162 game season. That's 154 game season. Your 162 game season record is the White Sox from last year, where they were 41-121. I believe I heard on the radio today or yesterday that the Rockies are on pace to win about 24 games, which would put them way below the White Sox and almost match the Spiders with 154 game season. So you think they set the
They're
record?
pretty bad.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. But I'm gonna say no. I'll say nay for that. I think the Rockies. I mean, again, I couldn't tell you. I'm trying to think of a guy on their roster. Could you tell me
Chris
one guy?
Bryant.
Who?
Bryant.
Who?
Chris Bryant from the Cubs. Remember the third baseman? They give that
He's not.
crazy
He plays for
contract
the
to.
Rockies. Oh my God, Jesus
I think
Christ! I'm
like
trying to think. I
games.
could have named. We could have named a couple guys on the White Sox. We had the Luis Robert Crochet,
Yeah.
bunch of people. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. I keep saying I said nay, but I can't name one guy on the Rockies. I guess I shouldn't be. I mean, I don't think anybody can really. Oh, there's that young shortstop who's supposed to be really good. But anyway, um, yeah, I'm gonna say no for now. The White Sox they were really bad last year. They fired their manager, whatever, 80, 90 games in the year. Um, they were a mess. I'll say no for now. But it's looking bad right now. Those Cleveland Spiders they're ready.
If you had the Colorado over, you're shaking right now. Okay. Speaking of people who are shaking, I believe a prominent NFL family was shaking this weekend, and that would center around the NFL draft. We watched Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. And Dan, I mean, I want to talk about the Giants, obviously, and the Jets, uh, but that's something I had never seen before. I had never seen somebody. Now, granted, before the draft, it was all over about him, but I don't think there was many, if any, people who predicted what did happen was that he slid to the fifth round of the NFL draft. There were some people the day of the draft that were still predicting the Giants were going to select him at 3. And if the Giants didn't, there were other mocks that said the Saints at 9. And then there were other mocks that said the Steelers at 21. Shador Sanders, who I'm talking about, made it to the fifth round. Wild.
Well, so usually when stuff like this, before it happens, there's always some kind of report that says from whatever Schefter, whoever it is, that says that certain owners, like, because the report that came out where that he was so bad in his interviews that owners were just saying, I don't give a crap how good he is, take him off your board. That it wasn't like he was like the second quarterback or the third quarterback, fourth quarterback, whatever it was. But it was definitely obvious that the teams who needed quarterbacks, the Browns, the Giants, the Steelers, especially the Saints, even the Jets you can put up there, they just wanted no part. And they had like 5 or 6 chances before the Browns eventually said, all right, that they just wanted no part of Shedeur Sanders. And even kind of the Giants kind of started that off when they traded up for the 25th or 7th, whatever that pick was. And everyone's just like, who's it going to pick? Who's it going to pick? And I think we all kind of sort of knew, at least I sort of knew that it's going to be Jackson Dart. Eddie definitely wanted Jackson Dart. But he must have really, like, for a quarterback to be the top 2 quarterback talent wise and on film wise, to just be that bad in interviews or whatever happened. We still don't really know exactly what happened. I wish like that Dayball, like when the Hard Knocks came out and Dayball was doing all that stuff to the quarterbacks, like to Jaden Daniels last year, and to all the quarterbacks, and he was putting them through the test and he was reading them all, and the quarterback had to repeat the play back to him, and he would look like he's put him through like a rigorous test. And I would just want to see like, did like Shedeur just totally messed. Like I kind of want to know, like, did his dad just say something? Did he say something? Because the stuff they're putting out there, it's not like he said anything that terrible out there. Like, all right, if you don't plan on changing the culture, don't draft me. All right, whatever. I mean, I don't. I mean, I haven't seen anything that says, "Oh, that's why he fell." But I was like they just kept falling and falling. And I thought at a certain point, by the 4th or 5th round, he just wasn't going to get drafted. Because if the teams didn't draft him then, why are they going to draft him in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round? I don't understand that. So I mean, he probably couldn't be in a worse situation. It's not like he went to like Pittsburgh and then, all right, it didn't work out. Let's go to a lesser franchise or a lesser team like the Browns. He went to the crap of the Browns. And if he gets cut from the Browns, it might be over for him. Like, it could be like curtains. It could be like forever. Like, it would be like the most insane thing ever. And Dion really hasn't come out and said too much about it, which I kind of, it's a little worrisome on my part. Like, he kind of not agrees, but like, I don't know, but it's maybe one of the craziest things. I haven't watched the draft more than what I watched this past weekend. I was even watching a little bit on Saturday. I've never watched rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday afternoon. I've never done that before, and I was watching going back and forth. And it was insane how it went.
I mean, listen, obviously we all heard the rumors that he crapped out on his interview, that Brian Daboll, specifically with the Giants, gave him a mock-up play, asked him what he does, what's the read, what's the this, and he wasn't ready. And then Brian didn't like that he wasn't ready, and then Shedeur got mad that he was upset, and that turned them completely off. Obviously, the videos that we had all seen in the past resurfaced this weekend when trying to grasp why he fell, where he wouldn't shake the North Dakota State quarterback's hand and said, "You can't keep up with me." And then he pushed the referee in the back in one of his games in college. And I look at it almost like the Tebow effect. Now, Tebow was an outstanding teammate. Everyone loved him, but he was a distraction with his story. Do you want to bring Shedeur Sanders in here? If you don't think Shedeur has it to be an NFL quarterback and you think his ceiling is a backup quarterback in the NFL, why then bring that headache? Because even if he's on his best behavior and Papa Prime's on his best behavior, they are going to be a headache. They're going to be an attention focus. You really want that for your backup quarterback?
I guess not, but in a league where you need a quarterback to compete, and Shedeur Sanders is a quality quarterback. I know you said it before, like obviously you didn't want him on the Giants, and obviously with the 3rd pick, you obviously don't want him on the Giants. But you're not telling him that you would be okay with him coming in if you drafted him in the 4th or 5th round. I mean, maybe not now because you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and still Tommy Cutlets over there, and I guess there's really no room for Shedeur Sanders, but I mean, he can play a little bit. I mean, now I don't know how much he has to develop or if the way Dion taught him was not the best way or however it was at college. I don't know if he kind of sabotaged them with like the play calling. I heard something with that. Like he wasn't like the plays weren't too complicated, even though I thought that Shermer ran a pro style offense in Colorado. I don't know, but it's insane how he went from the possible number one overall pick to the number 150 something that he got drafted at.
I think it was 155. Yeah. Listen, I let you guys know, and I've said it on this podcast before. I was never a fan of Shedeur Sanders. I wanted the Giants to stay as far away from him as possible. I thought that if I was running the Giants, obviously it depends on who you're running and what the organization looks like, but I would have preferred Jaden Milrow or Dart over Shedeur Sanders. If I couldn't get Cam Ward, my big board for the Giants quarterback wise would have been Ward, Dart, Milrow, Sanders. So I mean, listen, yeah, if I had no quarterback and I was looking for a quarterback in the future, you think, oh, I can pick a guy at fifth or fourth round and get somebody at least it's like a scratchy that I win. You know what I mean? Who cares if you wasted a fourth round pick on him? But we'll see because, like you said, it's a terrible situation. They drafted Dylan Gabriel before him, two rounds before him, who a lot of people thought Dylan Gabriel would have been a fifth or sixth round pick, and they basically swapped fortunes there, and they end up on the same team. So in that room, if there's one room that's crazier than the Giant quarterback room, it's the Cleveland Brown quarterback room with Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson in the corner nursing and trying to get a massage from somebody, and then Shedeur Sanders. So that's wild. We'll see what happens there. Specifically talking about, I'm going to talk about my New York Giants. Um, Love what they did getting the best player in the draft, pure player, in Carter, trading up, recognizing their guy, no matter what you think about Dart. And a lot of talking heads have said this. And like I said, I thought he was the second best quarterback in this draft, but they notified this is the guy that we want to be our future quarterback, and they made a move for him. And they didn't trade a first round pick to come up back into the second round, back into the back end of the first round. Whereas the Falcons, who traded right behind the Giants, they had to give up a first round pick to get into the first round. And rumors have it, the Rams were looking at drafting Jackson Dart and making him the heir apparent to Stafford. And I think there's some validity to those rumors because as soon as the Giants made the pick, the Rams were behind them and they traded out of that pick.
I was
So
going to ask you, I mean, is that something the Giants need to do? That you think that the Rams would have definitely drafted Jackson Dart, and that's why they moved up, and you don't think they could have waited to that second pick of the second round or whatever it was? You think they was kind of, I mean, like, so I said this in previous podcasts. I know we talked about or I talked about, if you think he's a guy that works for you and that he can be your future, then you have to do what you got to do to get him. And I said that too. So if Daboll thinks he's the guy, or at least there's someone that he can kind of like mold, because there's no pressure on him to start this year at all. So I mean, have him sit for a year, and I'm totally fine with that with all quarterbacks. Obviously, you have the Jaden Daniels and the C.J. Strouds of the world that kind of say, I mean, that are going to kind of want that kind of make you rush everything. But I'm fine with him sitting for a year. You need years anyway, and they got the guy. They got a couple more guys later in the draft as well. They got that running back from that bowl game that I know had an amazing bowl game. Go ahead. Yeah, and I think he had like an amazing bowl game. I forgot the bowl game, but it was like the fantastic bowl game where he was running over everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a good draft. It's a good start. Yeah, now it's just
they got a highly touted defensive tackle out of Toledo. Last name Alexander. He was projected to have an early second round pick. They get him in the third round, and they got the kid Scotabo, who you were referring to. He is a bowling ball running back. I'm sorry. And that was a run against Texas. I don't know what the name of the bowl game was, but it was a run against Texas where they literally had to pull him by his face mask because he was not going down and he was literally dragging people with him. And I think he can catch and he can throw. He threw a touchdown in that game too, if I'm not mistaken. He is the full package, and you put him with somebody that they got with promise from last year and Tyrone Tracy, and you really do have a nice little 1-2 punch in the backfield for the New York Giants to help out Danger Russ.
No. He's a good back. I mean, they got obviously they got a lot of good. They got a receiver too. You said they had a receiver too, right? So they got that. They got a lot of good weapons coming, and then it's looking up so far. I think they're in the right direction. They're going in the
Yep.
right direction. Russ is a competent quarterback. He'll be okay.
Yep. And I'll spend the last 30 seconds on the draft talking about the Jets. Listen, I looked up some of the guys that they drafted because I wasn't familiar with some of their names. I was familiar with the first round pick, the tackle Mambuo. His name, I remember hearing his name last year. They also got tight end Taylor out of LSU, and they got a cornerback out of Florida State University. They got a couple more pieces. It just looks like a solid draft. I don't know if any of them end up being groundbreakers, but I think the Jets are looking to build a foundation here, and these picks weren't the worst way to do it. So
Yeah, I know the Jets got some flack over their first round pick because that Penn State tight end was there. Tyler Warren, yeah, was the tight end there. Then I know like a lot of people wanted them to draft him, and I think that what Aaron Glenn is doing is he was obviously around a organization in Detroit that kind of when Dan Campbell, the first thing he really did was he established that offensive line. And I think that's kind of the base of what he's doing. It's just kind of establishing that offensive and defensive line, knowing that now, if you look at the Detroit Lions now, they have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and then they got one of the best defensive lines in the league, and they're one of the best teams in the NFL. So I think Aaron Glenn deserves some um, time with that in terms of he's the closest thing to a winner the Jets have seen in a long time. So I mean, you got to give him some of that, and just I trust him, and I think it's a good draft pick.
yep. So that's all I got today, Dan. I mean, we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll know if uh, have advanced to the second round by next week. We'll have some more baseball. I don't know if we'll have too much in the way of football news going forward. But we still don't know where Aaron Rodgers is playing, if he's playing at all.
Pittsburgh must know something. Aaron Rodgers must have told them, like, all right, just give me a second to let me do what I got to do, and I'll sign with you and whatever. I'll skip training camp and I'll come in August, whatever. So I'll assume that if the Knicks lose, that background of yours will go away. So you won't have a Knicks background, I'm assuming. Also, too, very important because we didn't talk 5 seconds about the Nets this week. So I'll get my 5 seconds in now. The NBA draft lottery is May the 12th. So we'll still have one podcast till then, but we could do another 2 minutes on the draft odds of the Nets. And of course, I'm surprised you didn't bust my chops about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm surprised I didn't get anything with that with you, which is great because I wouldn't talk about him. We don't need to talk about Tyrese Halliburton's clown of a dad charging on the court for Giannis, which was a crazy thing. I don't know why I hate Giannis, but I'll defend him in that spot. But yeah, a lot of things happening. We're going to be by next week. We'll be in the top 8 of the playoffs, so the conference semifinals, at least for everybody. We'll have some games in there also. We'll have a lot to talk about. Keep following us on the X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Keep those likes and follows and comments coming. So until next time, I'm Danny. This is Neil. Signing off.